Good morning, beautiful souls. Good morning, beautiful empaths. Welcome to my page and welcome aboard. This is Denzamos, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to my page. Welcome to the channel. This is the channel of freedom. It is the channel of breaking empaths free. So, if you're new, just coming in, this kind of content resonates. Always please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. And for the ones who've been with me, I welcome you back to this page. Now today, I'm going to talk about the gut feeling. But before I do that, I would like to specifically address or even speak to the people who have successfully managed to come over to the other side of healing. So you've healed eventually, and you feel ready to step into your authenticity. I would like to encourage you, because as you see around the world, it is so many millions of people suffering from narcissistic abuse, and yet there is just a handful of coaches, so people who can address this issue and who can help you in your healing journey. So as you see, there is many victims, and yet there is very little help. So it's just a handful of the people who talk about this kind of abuse and who is helping people around the world. So if you're a person who has healed successfully and you've come over to the other side, I would encourage you to, in this page, if you feel ready, if your gut speaks to you and you feel ready, you can always use a platform. Maybe you're an artist, you want to address it using your art, your crafts, or you want to address it using your platform, social media. Maybe you have a Facebook page, Twitter, or whatever, Instagram. You can always use your pages to create awareness around the world so that many victims of abuse will somewhere be like you at one time, and you can help people, change people in a different, in some kind of a way, and you can put an impact to the world out there. And I bless you as you do that. So I'm going to talk about the gut feeling today. Now, the gut feeling, what am I talking about? The gut feeling is always that silent, it feels like a silent voice speaking to you. It's like an intuition inside you speaking to you and trying to warn you of a certain danger you're getting engaged in. So it's like, for example, many of us, including me, you might have found yourself in the situation one day. It could have been one day whereby you're in a relationship with somebody, and for some reason you feel as if things are not going the way you thought they would go. Maybe you've been with them for a couple of months, and somehow your gut is telling you, your intuition is speaking to you, your God, the inner God, your higher self is speaking to you and telling you somewhere that there is something going on and something is wrong. And to some extent, you've ignored those callings. You've ignored that feeling, and you've ignored the intuition. Not that I'm blaming you in this video. It's not that I'm blaming you, but I just want to speak about it so that I can create more awareness about the people who is still in this abuse, in these relationships, in this abuse. And they're having this kind of a similar feeling, speaking to them, and something is telling you that something is wrong. It may be that case whereby, for example, you're going to get married. You're planning to get married with these individuals, and somewhere before the wedding day, there is something telling you, something is strongly, your heart is beating so hard, and something is telling you from the inside that you're getting into the wrong marriage. And it's like somewhere you cannot fight you cannot fight it, because maybe you've reached that extent whereby you're at a point of no return. So it's like the marriage is actually, maybe even sometime maybe on the wedding day, or even sometime a few days before the marriage, there is a specific feeling you have inside you that is telling you that you're getting into the wrong marriage. And somewhere maybe you need to put some brakes, you need to put a stop to this, and it's not going to turn out well, and it's going to get to the worst. And somewhere you're ignoring that feeling. It can also be that feeling whereby you are that person, you are that individual who is maybe for some reason you found yourself pregnant. Maybe you're a woman out there, you're dating a narcissist, and maybe you don't know that yet. And then you're getting pregnant. You've gotten pregnant, for that matter. And then somewhere your gut is speaking to you, and your gut is telling you that yes, you might have gotten pregnant. It's still the early stages of the pregnancy. But are these the real people you want to be with? Are these the individuals who are supposed to be with you and who are supposed to participate in this relationship and be part of your life? Are these the people you want to spend your life with for the rest of your life? So there's always that feeling speaking to you. And that feeling, what I call the gut feeling, it is very popular around the world because many people who have actually been with narcissists, they have always had that silent voice speaking to them inside, from the inside. It's a very deep intuition, or a very deep something. It's like a silent voice speaking to you from the inside and telling you that whatever you're getting involved with, or whichever person you've engaged, that is not the person for you. And for some reason, you're having a lot of doubts. So you might find yourself in that situation whereby you're having doubts. And anytime when you feel that you're having doubts, very, very serious doubts, and you're having second thoughts about something, especially if it involves a narcissist, if it involves somebody who appears to be very toxic, it is the God speaking to you. It is God and your angels are speaking to you silently and telling you that the person you're involved with silently behind the scenes, these individuals, they're very toxic, and you should somewhere try. It's like the angels are trying to tell you, the God is speaking to you silently from your higher self. It's like your higher self is speaking to you and telling you that you need to terminate this relationship whatsoever. Or even sometimes you need to terminate that pregnancy because you feel that you're getting deeper into a relationship with somebody who is later going to turn out to be very, very toxic and very abusive. So I would like to encourage all of you out there, people. The ones who have been with narcissists and have managed to heal and gotten over the other side, they can concur with me that there's always been a gut feeling from the very beginning of the relationship, somewhere maybe a few weeks or even a couple of months down the road, when they made these individuals, there has always been a gut feeling speaking to you. And that gut feeling has been telling you deeply you are getting engaged in a very bad situation. It's like a red light, it's a red flag, it's a red sign that is telling you that somewhere down the road, this is going to turn out very bad. Maybe you have gotten pregnant very fast. For some reason, they have gotten you pregnant because the narcissist is always their duty. They want to make it a point to make sure that they make you pregnant at a very early stage, or even sometimes they want to put a ring on your hand at the very early stages of relationship, just to it's like they are putting a mark in that partnership. They are trying to put a foundation and a mark in that partnership, and to get you trapped in some kind of a way. So it's the feeling anytime when you find yourself you're doubting, you have got very bad intuition inside you telling you that the person, because of course a narcissist will not wait to abuse you. A narcissist, when you get involved with them, when you get with them eventually, it will not take them a lot of time for you to start to see the abuse, because the abuse will start to play out in some kind of a way. So they will start to abuse you, and you start to see some of those things you have not seen before, or even sometimes you're already going to start to feel, or even sometimes to hear those kind of things you've never had before. And your intuition is going to tell you that actually the person you're with at that current time, at that moment, it is most likely they're manipulating you. I had that gut feeling as well. I think it could have been around 3-4 months, or somewhere maybe 3, 4, 5 months during the partnership. So I always had that feeling that was inside me telling me that this thing is very wrong. You need to leave, you need to leave, you need to quit. This is very wrong and this is very toxic. But the problem is, I don't blame the people in this situation, because at the end of the day, in the early stages of this partnership, when the narcissist eventually trauma bonds you and they get you trapped, it's like you're fighting with the feeling. So you have that feeling that tells you, yes, something is very toxic. You can see it because it's very visible. You can see it because it is probably the first kind of actions you've ever seen from the narcissist. But at the same time, there's another feeling because of the trauma bond. That other feeling is speaking to you and telling you, okay, so you know what, maybe yesterday they did a mistake, or maybe sometime, the previous incident, or whatever they might have said, or whatever they might have done to you, maybe it was just an incident, a one-off incident, and maybe it won't happen again. But then at the end of the day, you're going to realize that after 2, 3, few days down the road, they are going to do that same thing they did before. So they are going to keep on abusing you and manipulating you to some extent, and it's going to become very visible. But the gut feeling has already spoken. The inner intuition, that feeling inside you has already spoken to you. There's always like, it feels as if like that sixth sense. You have got a sixth sense telling you that you need to follow. Look out for the patterns, because there are some patterns now are starting to show up. There's a pattern of events. You will see something happening in front of your eyes. They will do something or say something. You will fight over it. And then all of a sudden they will calm down. They will step back. After a few days, maybe 1, 2, 3 days, then you see the same thing happen again. Or you hear the same thing happen again. And now you're starting to notice there's a pattern. They seem to have some kind of a pattern, which kind of pattern happens to carry on again and again and again, and that pattern never seems to stop. So for the ones who don't yet know what is a gut feeling, I'm confirming to you in this video. It's a bit dark in here actually. Maybe I do like this. The pattern is happening, and that gut feeling is speaking to you that take notice of this pattern. If you're an individual who is in that kind of a relationship and you're still doubting whether your partners, they are narcissists or not, if you don't have the confirmation yet within your heart, I want you to take a notebook. Anything you see that is extraordinary, maybe something they have done or something they have said, you may want to write it down and wait for a couple of days. You're going to see these people repeatedly doing that same thing they did before. They are going to do it again, or they are going to say it again. You have got to register that in some kind of a notebook. This has got to be some secret notebook that nobody knows about. So each and every single thing that you're doubting, it is that gut feeling speaking to you. And I'll guarantee you that if you get a notebook and you start to write down those events, whatever happening, those events happening in that partnership, you are going to realize that actually there's a certain pattern those individuals are following, and that pattern never seems to stop or never seems to end. So it's like they will keep on pissing you off every now and then. They will piss you off today, they apologize, those fake apologies, they'll piss you off the next day, they'll piss you off the other day, and there's that kind of a pattern which never seems to end. It is most likely you are dealing with a narcissist. And if you see those patterns, like I've said, you've written them down in the notebook, and you've realized that those patterns are following up in some kind of a way, it is a confirmation that actually you're dealing with a master manipulator, and definitely you're dealing with a narcissist. So in that sense, I would encourage you, if you are early in the relationship, I can guarantee you that if you do not do something, if you do not take the action in those early stages, the first months, I don't know, 3, 4 months or whatever, you're seeing those patterns and you're ignoring them to some extent. You're seeing those patterns happening every single day. I can guarantee you that you're dealing with a narcissist. And the earlier you start thinking about your options, is the better. The patterns will never stop. They will follow up each and every single day. You will see, of course, not every day will be a bad day. Of course, if you've been with a narcissist, of course, there are some good days. There are some days when you will sit down and enjoy a nice meal like a family. There are some days when you have, a very good time. It's not always that every day is a bad day. There are other days which are actually good, ordinary days. But then at the end of the day, there is a pattern they are following. A narcissist has got some kind of a software that they are following. There's a playbook they are following. And if you don't know who is a narcissist as yet, it is important for you, in your power, to take note of the events. Write down the events, take note of the events, write down each and every single thing happening in that partnership on a notebook, and you're going to see a special pattern following up on a regular basis. If you're that kind of individual, you've noticed a pattern, and somewhere inside you there is something nudging you. There's a gut. Your gut is speaking to you. Your higher self is speaking to you. Your spirit is speaking to you that this is abuse. Maybe that time you haven't yet put the finger. You haven't yet noticed that actually you're dealing with a manipulator. But then your instinct is telling you, because God will never lie to you. Any time when you have an instinct, very deep inner intuition telling you there's something wrong with somebody, you're questioning why you've gotten pregnant at a very early stage. You're questioning also why you're getting married at a very early stage. And they seem to have all sorts of excuses. If they've made you pregnant, they're making excuses. Oh, you know, I've always wanted a kid, I've always wanted this. So maybe they want to marry you after 2-3 weeks. And they're making all sorts of excuses. Oh, you know what, because I don't know, I think it's very important for us to get married soon. We're moving together. They're moving in with you even 2-3 weeks. That relationship is not a divine relationship. You have got to know something is wrong, and that is the gut speaking to you. So, people, in this video, I just wanted to make it clear. Do not ignore the gut feeling. When you ever get a gut feeling inside you, there's a small voice speaking to you. That is God actually speaking to you. It is not in those old days where you feel. I think when I was probably when I was in school, I used to read the Bible. Those Bible days, the olden days, the old times. When God used to come out physical and speak with people, it is not the way it works today in the nowadays. So it's like in this age we are now. You will get that feeling, that intuition will speak to you. You will know that something is speaking to you. There is a very strong inside intuition speaking to you. Your gut is telling you whatever you're doing is wrong. The person you're involved with is the wrong person. That person is a toxic person, and that person is going to make your life a living hell. And I'll request you, if you're that kind of individual, please don't ignore that feeling. It's very, very important to listen to your gut, because many people have ignored that feeling, including me. I've been there. And at the end of the day, the more the person is abusing you, your brain is registering this abuse and thinking that this is a normal incident. You're starting to realize that to think that, okay, so because they have done this or they have said this, it is a normal incident and somebody can behave in that kind of a way, and they can't be questioned about it. And that pattern is going on and on and on. So do not ignore that gut feeling. Listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. Your intuition is telling you the truth. God will never lie to you. If you're that person, the first stages of time, you're seeing these signs and you feel there's intuition, there's the gut speaking to you, something is wrong. Indeed, something is wrong with that partnership. And the earlier you terminate that partnership, the better. You do not want to find yourself being that kind of person who is going to end up like a couple of years down the road, 20, 30 years down the road, even sometime forever. And then you're starting to think, oh, there's a time I used to see these people doing this, or I had them saying this, and I ignored it. That is always the feeling that you get at the end. When you wake up eventually, you're going to start to remember that at some point in that relationship, there was a time you questioned or even you doubted these individuals as authentic. But that was the God speaking to you back then, until your brain started registering this abuse and registering these people and accepting them the way they are. And by doing that, it is what has actually made you, or even many people around the world, get involved in long periods of abuse without them actually realizing what is happening to them. Guys, in this video, that's what I wanted to say. If you have any comments, you've had that intuition, you've had that gut feeling inside you, I want to know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Until then, guys, it's been a lovely day. Hope to speak to you in my next video. Bye now. Lesmo signing out.